Mustafa and I talked last week a lot about trying to put out what our intentions were for doing these dialogues. And for myself, the intention was to show how that we are all one, and that that we all want the same things, and that our alikeness rather than our differences. I believe we ended on coming up with the topic of Sufism, and how as soon as you say the word I'm a Sufi, or I have a friend who's a Sufi, everybody sort of lights up, and the connotation is like, oh, I'm a Sufi, I know a Sufi. And why is that? Why is that so exciting to everyone? And why are other religions just shut down before people even know what they are? Because I truly believe we're all praying to the same God. We're all made of the same particles. We're all the same stuff. And we're all on the same quest, and it's here to know God. And we're just, the world is waking up, and we're trying to do a view here from Sudan, because my intuition tells me that the Sudanese are going to play a very major role in the world waking up. And today I'm going to try to interview Mustafa and ask him his views on Sufism and where we are at this point in the world today.
Okay, thanks again for everybody who is listening to us at this moment, for taking his time and interest to see what this is about. We as individuals inherit the story of creation since the beginning. Each one of us inherits that inside himself. That's why we inherit the story of the whole evolution of the whole creation, because we were there right when it was just a fairest atom, when it originally, that spirituality, that ability of God, of the mighty God, when it first rotated and brought the very simple atom, which is hydrogen, one electron and one proton. But the question raised by Marty here, and as we said, this is a series of, we are trying to put a series and put in it those thoughts, which I have drawn from my teacher, Ustaz Mahmoud Muhammad Taha in Sudan. He really brought solutions, and he really brought essence for everybody to learn from. And it's true, the Sudan is a poor country down there in the heart of Africa, lived by black people. But when humanity is ready to listen to values and to moralities and to the good values in human being, the Sudan has so much to offer to humanity. Its participation is coming. And I'm surprised how Marty is able to sense that and to see it. But that is what Ustaz Mahmoud used to say, what we call the new Islam is the religion of humanity in essence. The layer behind those religions, the layer beyond the religions, where the original essential need of an individual for spirituality rests in the heart and in the mind, and which will talk to to our souls, to our hearts and minds, which is what God is talking to us through. Why Sufism is accepted generally in the West? Why it is it gets liquid, as Marty said? Because it is flexible, because it goes with the real sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, the actual deed of Prophet Muhammad. Not the laws, not the regulations, not the things that are put by people, not the solid, not the crude understanding of early 7th century Islam as the majority of Muslims are today. I mean, this jihad, the Qaeda, the ISIS, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Hamas, the Boko Haram, all of those are the rigid, the cruel faith which is brought by at the 7th century, when people rejected harshly the ideas, when things are still very tough, when life is still tough, not as it is refined and developed in today's life, and as brought today in one entity. As I said last time, technology has brought us to the stage where our life is threatened by the nuclear war, while at the same time, the same technology has brought us something that unifies us, which is the fast communication, fast transportation, and the internet, that brought us to be to live almost the same culture. And we are moving forward to even more oneness. And the whole history of humanity brings us to this point where we are going towards oneness, whether we liked it or not. And all of the revolutions and the instabilities and the terrorism that's going on right now are the final signs of the backwardness that we should leave behind. So, a very probably a very interesting and short way to answer Marty's question about the Sufi. One of the Sufi leaders had this poetry, which is sung often by the Sufi, and it is sung by students of Ustaz Mahmoud. لقد كنت قبل اليوم أنكر صاحبي. That's from Ibn Arabi. إذا لم يكن ديني إلى ديني داني لقد صار قلبي خابلا كل صورة، فمرعا لغزلان ودير لرهبان وبيت لأوثان وكعبة طائف وألواح توراة ومصحف قرآن. أدين بدين الحب أن توجهت ركائبه، فالحب ديني وإيمان. And it is sung دين بدين الحب أن توجه ركائبه، فالحب ديني وإيماني. It says, the translation, I was before today denying my companions if my religion is not in the same as theirs. Now my heart adores every image, a meadow for deer and a monastery for monks, the house of idols and the center of worships, Torah teachings and Quran book. I abide by love wherever its caravans take me, for religion is my love and my faith. So that is already sang in Sufism. That's, I think, why it gets liquid, as Marty said. And the idea of coming regularly to the Center for Spiritual Awareness, the place where Marty goes, where I met so many very nice, very awakened people, and I hear very nice also talk, spiritual and scientific, from the director of the center, the CSA as they call it. But as I said last time, always whenever they start speaking about any topic, it opens on me, on my inside, so many ideas that Ustaz Mahmoud has already said, founded and told in a way that links it to the origins of meanings for science and spirituality. For example, the idea of comfort that is brought today. As I said last time, I always do not find myself when they speak about that we are oneness and we are God and we have the perfection inside to us, and there is this stillness inside us, and we can listen to it, we can practice asking it about what we should do. The thing for Ustaz Mahmoud is practical. What is said here about that every individual has the divine existence, the divine God, the stillness is inside him, that is true, but that cannot easily be identified while we are suffering from so many deficiencies. So the practical thing is to put us in the process where we can uncover those. Those are inside our hearts, but they are covered with our experiences, with our fear, with our inheritance from the past, as we used to be animals and we used to go into wars, and we inherit the whole story, as I said, but that story has to be uncovered in order to get the real picture inside us. The reality is there, the reality is God, but we cannot go to God directly because we don't know him, because so many things cover us from him. We do not see him, we do not see his powers. We believe in him at the beginning, but then we work hard to raise up those issues. The hard work is towards our ego, towards our fallacies, towards the delusions we live in. It's not enough to pretend that we are good and we are perfect. That will not solve the issue. The issue will be solved if we confronted ourselves by seeing its deficiencies, by working hard to fix those deficiencies, and that is through worshipping. And worshipping, every religion has different worshipping, but definitely a human being has a capacity. Okay.
I wanted to say ancient teachings in a modern way. There's nothing new to be said. It's just ancient teachings in a modern way.
Right. It is said right from the beginning, when, let us say, Stone Age man, or before that, when man, let us suppose, just for the argument, when the first man or the first society found himself on earth surrounded by this environment, the environment was harsh, and he found so many things that he can deal with. He can fix or struggle with and win against, and there are some things that he cannot deal with, bigger things beyond his abilities. And in both the things that he can deal with and the things that he can deal with, cannot deal with, some of those are good things. So, for example, the things that he can deal with and that are good, he used those and improved his abilities on them. On the things that he can deal with, but they are bad things, he tried to fight them and to sharpen his tools in order to control them. And that brought the science until the technology, where man is able to use the environment and use it to his own benefit. So he broke down mountains, he built cities, he buried parts of the ocean, he went deep in the oceans, up in the skies to other planets. Technology continued on that, on the issues that he is able to deal with, and every time his abilities increase until he reached today. And on the other part, there are those things he is not able to deal with, whether they are good, as rain and flowers and good weather and happy events, and some of the things that are bad, like fires, volcanoes, floods. For those whom he is not able to deal with, he worshipped. There is no way to deal with them. So he went closer to them, he asked them for their help, and from there came religion. So even the earliest religions came from a need to adapt to our surroundings. And technology at the same time came from a need. a need to deal with our surroundings. But for the surroundings that is tangible came the science and technology, and for the surroundings that are intangible, but we feel them and we know they are there, but we cannot touch them because they are beyond the five senses. The five senses brought the sciences, but the senses above those have brought religion. So religions right from the beginning are wanted by God and followed by God and nurtured by God, and they developed in themselves from very primitive source of religion, doing some unbelievable things that are not adaptive today, until they grew up to our modern religions of today. And it is also said in Sufi that Judaism may be the first well established with laws and with regulations and with full set of worshipping. But it was towards a tougher. So it was, the environment was tough, the humanity was tough by then. That's why it is war and it is hardships. And then when Christ came, when Jesus came, he came with, they say in Sufi, with the utmost ideals for humanity, the best possible, an ideal person. But then he lived a very short time, and he was just a young guy from 30, when he brought his message, he was 30 years old, and when he was crucified, he was 33 years old, and the whole message is only 3 years, and the 3 years were intense with followers, and it is, for the people, it's all emotional, and it's like a glimpse. It's just something shown in the sky. It shone on earth and went away. They say when Islam came, it came inheriting all of those religions. So in part of it, the early part of the 7th century is tough. That's what all of the Muslims are now trying to follow, whether they are a little moderate in it or extremist on it. Extremists like the Muslim Brothers and the ISIS and all of those. And the moderate are the other Muslims, including different sects. But in the Mecca Quran came the Christ, the ideals of humanity. And that is said literally in Quran, that is said. Yani it's said, part of it that what lies in the Torah, and parts of it what is similar to what is in the Bible. So what the Ustaz Mahmoud is advocating is the Mecca Quran, which has the principle of Quran, which talks to any person on earth, which talks to the needs of, actual needs of humanity for religion. And the Sufi is a stage in the middle. They started as early as the 10th and the 11th century, and they continued up to today. And they are trying to make that link between an older version and a version that's adaptive. Every time, that's why there are different sects and they are always evolving. And we say that New Islam has inherited all of those religions to create the religion that is for tomorrow, the religion that is no longer religion, as a matter of fact, because it does not rely on faith. It relies on all the knowledge that links the tangible world with the world that's not tangible, the intangible. This link is our future, and we need it badly now. And there has to be, humanity has reached a point where it should either follow that path leading to cooperation, to oneness, to prosperity, or the other way, which leads to the war. If war broke at any moment, it is a nuclear war, and the nuclear war has nothing beyond it.
It's the end.
It's the end. So either we are going towards the end or to prosperity and highness, and that road up has no way other than spirituality in that sense. The thing that will bring what we have in common rather than what we have in difference. What we have in difference is not leading to us anywhere. Actually, what we have in difference is the one that leads us to the nuclear war. The religions, as religions, would lead us to the nuclear war.
Right.
And that's why I also respect the role played by America and the Americans. They play the role trying to calm this down, trying to make the balance between the powers, between the different powers, and trying to follow whoever has nuclear weapon, not to allow for that. Because so many countries, if they have the nuclear weapon, they will just break it out. And يعني thanks God, that cannot be the end, because if that is the end, there is the life will be in vain, and all this creation will be in vain, which is not reasonable, which is not rational, and doesn't look like the work of God. The work of God is bringing us all together towards oneness, towards prosperity, towards the heaven. That's why it is what they call in Christianity the return of Christ. In different religions it had different names, but they are all in agreement that there is some sort of a salvation that is coming.
And they call it singularity.
Singularity, that is another, that's you see any word opens for me so many things that Ustaz Mahmoud has already said. Singularity is our future, because every one of us is quite different, is an entity in himself, is a God in himself.
Right.
Everyone, and each one of us has those abilities inside him that he will uncover. But it's not by just intention or by emotion or by just the thinking, the way I see it set in the center, CSA. But it should be through intensive worshiping. You confront yourself every day. You remember the washing that I described, and the prayer. If it goes continuously, every time you are a new person, every time you are improving, you are a better person, you are more refined person, until you uncover those abilities, until your sixth sense matures and your seventh sense comes out, because the senses are seven. We even say the sixth sense we have the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, and smelling. Those are the five senses. But the sixth sense is the one that it's a mind that unifies the other senses. A good example to explain it is when you are working on a typewriter. When you don't know, you search for the word. Where is the A? Where is the A? Then you find it, you hit the A. Where is the C? Where is the C? You hit the C. And then where the space, you hit the space. But after you get to it and you get trained to it, then you do them without looking at it, and while you are talking with someone else even, or while you are reading it here and doing it. So what happened to those fingers? They became unified with the mind, and together with the eyes, they all unified, and they can do the work. You don't need to think, and you don't need to see, and you don't need even to direct them. They deal with it automatically, because they adopted some sort of unification of those senses. So the sixth sense that is coming is a mind that links together between the senses and deal with them naturally and easily and spontaneously, and that's how talking can be through telepathy. I just look at you and I can see what you want to say, and you can understand me, and it's like that. But the seventh sense is centered in the heart, because the heart pumps the blood for all the body, and while it's pumping the blood, it is mixing it with the oxygen from outside, mixing it and pumps it. So he actually emits life to the different parts of the body. So imagine if that life is awakened and is brightened and is refined and sharp. So that is how the heart can emit the real life, the real knowledgeable, enlightened, bright life into the all parts of the body. That is the seventh sense that is coming. So the sixth sense and the seventh sense are coming when we are awakened enough, when we have already worked with ourselves and got rid of the ego. The ego right now, you can see it in the eyes of the people. Even in the center, when they talk, I can see it. I can see how everybody is thinking about himself. And that's not a problem, because all of us are like that. But if we work hard with ourselves, then we can see the reality as it is. That's where the stillness is hidden, the peace is hidden, the love that is unconditional is hidden. So those things are not free just to take by just thinking about them, but they are awaiting for us. What is awaiting for us, they say, is something that no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard of, and has not happened to any heart of any individual. That is the kind of life we are waiting for.